रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्धना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् निगमकल्पतरोः गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनशम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपनव्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीं पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम् श्रुतीनामुत्तरं भागं वेगवत्याश्च दक्षिणं कामात्तधिव सञ्जीयात् कश्चिदद्भुतकेसरी तपनेन्दु अग्निनयनः तापान्नपचिनोतु नः तापनीयरहस्यानां सारः कामासिका हरिः आकण्ठमादिपुरुषं कण्ठीरवम् उपरि कुण्ठितारातिं वेगोपकण्ठसङ्गात् विमुक्तवैकुण्ठबहुमतिमुपासे बन्धुमखिलस्य जन्तोः बन्धुरपर्यङ्कबन्धरमणीयं विषमविलोचनमीडे वेगवती पुलिनकेळि नरसिंहम् स्वस्थानेषु मरुद्गणान् नियमयन् स्वाधीन सर्वेन्द्रियः पर्यङ्कस्थिरधारणा प्रकटितप्रत्यङ्मुखावस्थितिः प्रायेण प्रणिपेदुषां प्रभुरसौ योगं निजं शिक्षयन् कामानातनुता अशेषजगतां कामासिका केसरी विखस्वर नखस्वर रुधिर हिरण्य वक्षस्थली विनर्गल निरर्गल रुधिर सिंधु संध्यायिताः अवन्तु मदनासिका मनुज पंचवक्त्रस्य माम् अहं प्रथमिकामितः प्रकटिताः वा बाहवः सटापटल भीषणे सरभस अट्टहासोद्भटे स्फुरत्कृधि परिस्फुटद् भ्रुकुटिकेऽपि वक्त्रे कृते कृपा कपटकेसरिन् दनुजडिम्ब दत्तस्तना सरोज सदृश दृश व्यतिभिषज्यते व्यज्यते त्वयि रक्षति रक्षकैः किमन्यैः त्वयि च आरक्षति रक्षकैः किमन्यैः इति निश्चितधीश्रयामि नित्यं नृहरे वेगवती तटाश्रयं त्वाम्. नमः सदसे नमः सभायै. With the abundant blessings and grace of Paramatma, Shriyapati, we are beginning the third day of our lecture in our Sapthaham series of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Purva Charitram, we have discussed the circumstances that led to Shukabrahmam explaining the pastimes, the avatara kramam of Bhagavan to Parikshit. Drauniyastra viplushtam idam madangam santana bijam kurupandavanam jugopakukshim gatiyatta chakraha matuschameya sharanam gatayaha, says Parikshit. How was I protected while I was inside the womb of my mother? To this question of Parikshit, instead of directly getting into Sri Krishna Avataram, which happens in the Dashama Skandam and Ekadasha Skandam of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukabrahmam takes the liberty to explain the other avatarams of Bhagavan. He speaks about Varaha Avataram, and we also discussed the Varaha Charama Shlokam. He then talks about the life history of great Bhagavatottamas like Ajamila, Ambarisha, Kapilopadesham, Pruthu Charitram, Dakshayajnam, then Dhruva Charitram, and Jadabharata Charitram. This day, on day 3, we are going to have the opportunity to discuss Sri Nrisimha Avataram. If time permits, there is a small bhagam called Tripura Samharam in the 7th canto itself. Followed by that will be Gajendra Moksham. Of course, when Shukabrahmam delineated Srimad Bhagavatam, he did not do 2 hours a day. So he did 24 cross 7. So there was ample time for him to cover every avataram and every Vaibhavam in detail, which I said we do not have that liberty. But Alpascha Kalo Bhavascha Vighnaha, says Vedanta Deshika in his magnum opus Rahasyatraya Saram. Alpascha Kalo, time is limited. Bhavascha Vighnaha, impediments are too many. With that given time, with the limited time that we have, we should get into Sri Nrisimha Avataram. Parikshit asks, Samaf Priya Suhrid Brahman Bhutanam Bhagavan Swayam Indrasyarthe Katam Daityan Avadhi Vishamo Yatha. Parikshit has this question. If Parabrahman, Paramatma is equal to all, he treats everyone equally. Samaf Priya Suhrid Brahman Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. Then why does he act with such anger, rage on Hiranyakashipu, and on the other side is extremely merciful, so soft and so kind to Prahlada? Isn't there a disparity in his treatment? Brahma Sutram answers this. While explaining about the manuscripts that were documented in the past, I did make a reference to Brahma Sutram yesterday, if you remember. So it is one single line, but Adi Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva knew where to cut and slice them, and thereby they, for example, in Vishishtadvaita Siddhantam, we have 545 Brahma Sutras. Vedanta Deshika indicates this in Adhikarana Saravali. He says, Sautri Sankhya Shubhashihi, Sautri Sankhya Shubhashi. See, I have to tell you the greatness of our acharyas. They were very good in maths as well. So every letter had a digit. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So if you take sha, sha, sa, ha, it comes with yara lava. Yara lava sha sha. So the first sha is 5. Shubhashi 5. Bha is 4. Sha is again 5. 5, 4, 5. So you have got 545 Brahma Sutras, he says. Sautri Sankhya Shubhashi. He says the Sankhya, the number, is Shubhashi. Shubhashi also means it gives you auspiciousness. So it serves both the purpose. It tells you the phalam, the fruit, and also tells you the number. That is how even our Melakarta scheme is designed. In Karnataka Sangeetam, Shastriya Sangeetam, if you see there are 72 Melakartas, you distribute them into 36 and 36. So you will have Pratimadhyamam and Shuddhamadhyamam. Sarigama Shankarabharanam, Sarigama Kalyani. So this is how you distribute the Melakarta. Dhira Shankarabharanam it is called. Dhira, Dhi is 9, Ra is 2. You have to reverse in Katapayadi Sankhya. 92 will become 29. So 29 is the number assigned to Shankarabharanam. So this is how numbers, this is how calculations were done in the past of even some of the infinite series by Madhava in Sangama Grammar School. Now the point is, in Brahma Sutram, we have a sutram called Vaishamyanair Ghranyena Sapekshatvat. First 5 minutes will be slightly tough, then it will get easy, don't worry. So he says, Vaishamyanair Ghranyena Sapekshatvat. When Parabrahman creates, there is always disparity. One is tall, the other one is short. The shorter one feels that I should have been tall. Tall people know their own problems. You will be called every now and then to pick up some dabba or the other. So, this difference in height, difference in weight, difference in complexion, difference in the economic strata, all this is there that you see in the creation. So now the question is, Vishama, does the Lord show this kind of disparity? No. Vaishamya nairghranyena sapekshatvat. Neither does he show partiality, nor does he show mercilessness. If this is the sutra that explains Paramatma is equal to all, then Parikshit asks, Samapriya Suhrit Brahman Bhutanam Bhagavan Swayam Indrasyarthe Katam Daityan Avadhi Vishamo Yatha. Then how was he extremely merciful to Prahlada, and how was he extremely rude and wrathful against Hiranyakashipu? See, there is a difference between an Itihasa and a Purana. Itihasa will just go in one flow. Purana will always make it sound as if this has been told over generations. Pura api navam Puranam. It is old, yet seems very fresh. Pura, old. Yet Navam, very new, contemporary. Puranam, we call it. So this Puranam will always make it like this is a conversation between Parikshit and Shukabrahmam. Within that conversation, Shukabrahmam says, very good question. First of all, how do you answer a question is to appreciate the question. When somebody asks me a question, first I have to tell, बहुत अच्छा सवाल है. Then they will be quiet for some time. They will sit. See, you have to always appreciate that questioner. Even if the question is not so worth answering, you have to tell. எப்படி கேட்டிருக்கேள் என்னவோ கேட்குறேள் பாருங்க கேள்வி சக்கரவர்த்தினா நீங்கள் தான் சொல்லிடணும். அப்படியே கவனம் உட்காந்துப்பார். அதுக்குள்ளே நம்ம என்ன சொன்னாலும் அவர் காதில் போட்டுக்க மாட்டார். That is the greatness of Prashnottaram. So here, Shukabrahmam says, Parikshit, you have asked a very good question. But the same question what you have asked was asked by Yudhishthira, your forefather, to Narada Maharishi. When did this happen? See, in Sri Mahabharatam, Panchapandavas were ordained to go on an exile for 12 years, Vanavasam, and Ekavarsham Ajñatavasam, incognito. Prior to that, they had this Rajyam called Indraprastham. How did they get it? At one point in time, they were asked to go to a palace that was constructed with inflammable materials called Lakshagraham. Duryodhana made all arrangements to let them die. Somehow, with Vidura's intervention and Krishna's grace, the 5 Pandavas along with Kunti escaped and went to a gramam called Ekachakra. And from then they went village after village and they went to Kampilya, the capital of Drupada's country, Panchala. And that is when Arjuna wins in the Swayamvaram. He was to marry Draupadi, and then due to circumstances, it does so happen that the 5 have to marry. When they come back, they already see that Duryodhana had made arrangements for himself to be the heir apparent. So it was a very tough scenario for Dhritarashtra to as such decide. Dhritarashtra was as such very, very selfish. Given the scenario, he did not know what to do. That is when Bhishma said, it is better you divide the kingdom and give. So he gave the most useless, futile land called as Khandavam to the Pandavas. The Pandavas felt a bit dejected, but Yudhishthira as usual said, we have to follow rules, whatever our uncle has given, we have to accept. Krishna said, I will help you, and in the process he helped in the Khandava Vana Dahanam. And then Indra helped, because it was Arjuna who was with Krishna. Indra said, I will arrange my architects. Indra was very influential. So he brought the architects and said, you all design one city. But Indra was a political person. He said, the city should be named after me. So Khandava Prastham became Indra Prastham. And in that Indra Prastha Rajyam, there were all these kings who were stationed. Now you have to do a ceremony, a Grihava Pravesham. A Kshatriya would generally do something called Rajasuyam, where they would prove their supremacy and sovereignty. So in that particular Rajasuya Yajnam, Shishupala had come. And in that particular Rajasuya Yajnam, when the Yajnam was over, somebody had to be respected first. In Tamil it is called Mudal Mariyadai. We also make movies based on those such titles. So this in Mudal Mariyadai, who to be respected first? Then everybody's fingers pointed towards Bhishma. He was the overlived person in the entire Sabha Mantapam. So they said, let this man get all the respects. But Bhishmacharya stood up and said, that even if I'm older to most of you by age, if at all there is somebody who is to be accorded the respects in this Mantapam, it has to be Krishna. Because when Krishna is there, nobody else should even stand in that line of respect. Pandavas were extremely happy because they were so attached to Krishna. So Sahadeva came and he was to do the Agre Puja. As this was being done, somebody said, stop it! Niruttangal! This voice has to come. Then, who was that? That was Shishupala. So Shishupala said, how do you respect someone who has been an abactor, a cattle thief? All his young days he has been accused of so many things that we deem unfit for a human being to survive. He has lied. He has danced with multiple women in the mid of an autumnal night by the banks of river Yamuna. Does he deserve that respect even? Duryodhana felt bad. See, imagine Duryodhana himself feels, sir, you are not blood, same blood, sir. Shakuni too felt, Shishupal, thoda zyada ho raha hai. See, imagine others felt this bad. Balarama said, Krishna, what are you doing? Krishna was counting. He was counting because he had said, he's promised his aunt that I will forgive 100 doshams of your son in a day. That day's quota was 100. When the 100th accusation was done, the abuse was set, his head was chopped off by the Sudarshana Chakra. So the head fell, the body danced for a few minutes and then it fell. You have to imagine that VFX scenario. Now that body fell. Immediately the CBI, all of them, they came and they started drawing one chalk around that body. And they all collected their blood samples. Now imagine Yudhishthira's state. It is his housewarming. And there is a big crime scene in the house. He felt very bad. That is when after everyone has left, because nobody dared ask a question because the chakram was still loitering in the air. They said, very full acid reflux, gas in That is when Narada Maharshi comes. And Yudhishthira asks this question. Narada, Krishna is so affectionate to us. On the other hand, he kills Shishupala. Is this right? That is why Shukabrahmam said the same question was asked by your ancestor. To which Narada Maharishi says, Gopyaha kamat bhayat kamsaha dveshat chaidyodayo nripaha sambandhat vrishnaya snehat yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. There are multiple ways of reaching Paramatma, Yudhishthira. Gopyaha kamat. Gopika stris reach through kamam, love. Bhayat kamsaha. Kamsa reaches through fear. See, the moment Kamsa was told that the Ashtamo Garbham will be the Marana Karanam, he saw that there was fear in him. So he was worried if someone would do harm to him. He didn't sleep from that night. Andal goes to the extent of telling that he started dispatching so many demons to get Krishna killed. Thereby, the women there thought that Krishna will be harmed. So they were extremely worried, petrified, and they would have fire in their belly. Krishna thought it is not right for them to suffer with so much of fire. So he would take the fire from their belly, which was caused because of fear. So fire 1, fire 2, do the summation in your numerical analysis. He got the entire fire as a big ball and he did not know where to keep. So Andal says that he pushed this fireball into Kamsa's stomach. So he had sleepless nights. Kanjan vayittil neruppenna nindra nedumale. So he couldn't sleep. So what caused that fear? Bhayat kamsaha. So he says, Gopyaha kamat bhayat kamsaha dveshat chaidyaha. Chaidya. Chedi is a country. So the one who belongs to the Chedi country is called Chaidya. So Shishupala is called Chaidya. Rukmini, on the 7th day when we read Rukmini Sandesham, the word Chaidya will come. So Dveshat Chaidyaha. How did he reach Paramatma? Dveshat, just through disgust. Kadavul illai. Kadavulai nambudavan muttal. Correct. But the wife is not. The wife will go temple after temple. The husband will tell this. Dveshat chaidyaha dayon nripaha. Sambandhat vrishnaya sneha yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. Hey Yudhishthira. There are a group of people who reach through bhakti. You or I may be examples of it. But others need not have to reach the same way. So when there are multiple ways to reach Paramatma, Paramatma too can handle his subjects in multiple ways. You cannot homogenize Paramatma's treatment to an individual. As he says this, Narasimha Avataram has to begin. Where should it begin? On day 1, I said, on day 3, I will continue from where the body arrived in the Sabha Mantapam of Hiranyakashipu. You remember? That is why you should attend all the days. So, the body arrived. Kute hite kutam ihate. So, when the body of Hiranyaksha arrived, it was mutilated because Varaha, the wild boar, had destroyed the body. Immediately, Hiranyaksha's mother, Diti Devi, and his patni, Rusha Bhanu, they start lamenting over the death of Hiranyaksha. We have lost a great antisocial element. Who will trouble this society from now on? So that is when there is a voice that says, Atma is Nityam. Shariram is Anityam. Atma keeps moving one shariram to the other. Like how a worm would move from one leaf to the other. Atma moves from one body to the other. The body is Anityam. Atma is Nityam. So do not lament. Beautiful advice. Who gave this? Hiranyakashipu spoke this. He was the son of Kashyapa Maharishi. Very learned Maharishi. So he learnt all the Vedas. They were very learned. So, yesha atma viparyaso hyallinge linga bhavana yesha priya apriyair yogo viyogaha karma samsrutihi sambhavascha vinasascha shokascha vividhasmritaha avivekascha chintacha viveka smritirevacha. Then Hiranyakashipu has to corroborate, he has to substantiate this Siddhantam with his mother and sister-in-law. He goes on to describe a story of an Ushinara country where a king called Suyagnya died. Bhagavatam is story within story within story. And these women listen. Now our question is, sir, when Hiranyakashipu is so learned about Atma and Shariram, why should he act like this? He is like us. See, whenever we listen to Prahlada Charitram, it is a human mentality to always feel we are like Prahlada, which is not the truth. We are very close to Hiranyakashipu. I'll tell you why. Imagine we were in Prahlada's place and the father is telling, accept that I am Parabrahman. I would have accepted. Yaar, Hiranyaya namaha, Kashyapa putraya namaha, Diti sutaya namaha, Loka dukkha karanaya namaha. I would have not been adamant in telling Narayana is the Parabrahman. I would have never fought. That little boy had the guts to fight his father. We would have not, if somebody pushes me from the mountain, I would never say Narayana is Parabrahman. I would say, Appa, needane Parabrahman. Okay, pakam. See, we are nowhere close to Prahlada's bhakti. That boy is somewhere else. We are very close to Hiranyakashipu. Kadabul padi, mrugam padi. We are very close to him. See, even in a lecture, if you take, now I'm speaking here. At one point in time, I was in the audience, listening to many lectures. So I've noticed being in the audience as well as a speaker. First 45 minutes, Sattva Gunam will be at the highest. Everybody. இப்படிலாம் கேட்பா அப்படியே அந்த பக்தி ததும்பும். Next half an hour கோவம். This man is just going on and on and on. He doesn't take a break. He doesn't drink water. What is this? He doesn't give us a break at all. That anger will be visible. When you realize that I'm incorrigible and irreversible, last half an hour will be like Sattva, Rajo, Tamo Gunam. This is what we call. We don't have to read Bhagavad Gita to understand this. Is so here, Hiranyakashipu, when his Sattva Gunam was at his peak, he gave this Gita that Atma is Nityam, Shariram is Anityam. Most of the times it will be Rajo Gunam or Tamo Gunam. Next dialogue he said, I know how to avenge the death of my brother. I will go in search of that man of puzzling nature, Kute Hite Vishnu. I will go in search of that man, else I will go to Brahma and seek boons. And he was no normal person. You know, in Kambaramayanam, see, Ramayanam is by Valmiki, no doubt. That is the original Itihasa written by Valmiki during the times of Rama, agreed upon by Rama, sung by Rama's sons in his presence. Simple. But over a period of time, to take Ramayanam to the masses, various acharyas in the Bharatiya languages took the essence. One of the earliest regional transcreations to the Ramayanam came from the Tamil land. It is called Kambaramayanam. Vangarum Padam Niti Vahatta Vanmigi Enban Teemgavi Chevigallatta Tevarum Parugat Cheidan Angavan Pugarandanattai Naravammandi Mungayan Peshalutran Yennanan Muriyalutrain, says Kambar. And Kambar, if you've read the Kambaramayanam, the Tamil Ramayanam, you can just do one thing. You can fall in love with that man called Kamban. What a poetry. In Yuddhakandam, in Ramayanam, remember this is Ramayanam, in Yuddhakandam, he describes Narasimhavataram. Sir, how did Narasimha come in Ramayanam? Because Vibhishana advises his eldest brother Ravana. He says, Bhaiya, theek nahi hai. You have brought somebody else's wife from some other country. It's an international issue now. From Bharatadesham, somebody else's wife. This is all immorality. If some common citizen does it, the administrator will admonish him. If the administrator himself is involved in such things, then what inspiration will you be to your own subjects? Don't do this, bhaiya. Ye theek nahi hai. So for that, Kamban, what he does is, Vibhishana substantiates his value that you should be listening to my advice, else you will be destroyed, like how Prahlada advised his father Hiranyakashipu and was ultimately destroyed. So Narasimha Avataram as a narration through the eyes of Vibhishana comes in Kambaramayana. See, Narasimha Trailokyame Tadakhilam Narasimha Garbham, says Vedanta Deshika. Narasimha is loved by all. Short avataram, but everybody loves him. Even like how Kamban in Kambaramayanam describes Narasimha avataram, Tyagaraja Swami, the great Vagayakara, he gives us two musical operas. One is called Prahlada Bhakti Vijayam and the second is called Nauka Charitram. One is about Krishna Avataram and the other is about Narasimha Avataram. Correct? Prahlada Bhakti Vijayam. For example, Shri Ganapati ni sevim pagare. This is a part of that Prahlada Bhakti Vijayam, this Kriti. Nannu vidaya chikadala kurama. All that is a part of Vasudevayani. Vasavadi Sura Pujitudai Varijanayanu Matini Tala Chuchunu. This is all a part of that Natakam. So he describes about Prahlada's bhakti towards Bhagavan and how Bhagavan had to bless him. Everything is described in detail in this opera. Finally, what Tyagaraja does is, Hiranyakashipu went and struck the pillar, and who had to emerge? Narasimha. But in Prahlada Bhakti Vijayam, Rama will come. Yenti saridi? Prahlada Bhakti Vijayamulo, Yenduku Ramudu vastunnaru, because for Tyagaraja, everything was Rama. See, what I generally call, with immense respect, I have great respects for Sengalipuram Anantarama Dikshitar. In the 1960s, his Upanyasams were a rage. People just used to attend left, right to Anantarama Dikshitar. And he was extremely devoted to Guruvayurappan of Kerala and Narayaniyam. So much so that if the topic is Devi Mahatmyam, he has to talk on Devi. In that, Narayaniyam will come. People will be the Devi Mahatmyama Narayanama, because for him everything was Guruvayurappan, Krishna. So for Tyagaraja it is Rama. So in Prahlada Bhakti Vijayam as well, to protect Prahlada, Rama has to come. Now, Kamban tells, Vandal Tentirai Aatru Neer Sil Endru Maruvan. See, some of you may not be able to comprehend Tamil. I'm just reading out the passage, I will explain. And second thing, even people who have Tamil as their mother tongue will not be able to understand Kambaramayana. So don't worry, all of us are in the same boat. Vandal Tentirai Aatru Neer Sil Endru Maruvan. Kondal Konda Neer Kulirpu Il Endru Avai Kudayan. Pandai Tentirai Paravai Neer Uvar Endru Padiyan. Andattai Boduthu Appurathu Appinal Adum. They describe the nature of Hiranyakashipu. How did he take bath? With water. What water? He will not use the lake water. You have got that superior. All those lakes he will not use. No, I will not use lake water. Then go to one of the, you've got on one side you've got Pacific and the other side you've got Atlantic. Go to the oceanic waters. No, it is saline. I will not use saline water. Then no lake water, no river water. If you go to Pittsburgh, there is one Sangam there, right? Prayagraj. 2-3 rivers come there together. So why don't you use that? He will not use. Vandal Tentirai Aatru Neer Sil Endru Maruvan. Kondal Konda Neer Kulirpu Il Endru Avai Kudayan. Pandai Tentirai Paravai Neer Uvar Endru Padiyan. Sir, he is not using the waters from the lake, from the rivers, nor from the oceans. What will he use? Andattai Boduthu Appurathu Appinaladum. He wanted to be different from others, so he would travel 7 lokas above, drill a hole in the Andakataham and use that water as shower. To just say that he didn't want to be a commoner. So this Hiranyakashipu, He wanted to obtain Shakti. For that he had to venerate Brahma, because Brahma is very Ashutoshi. Ashutoshi means immediately they will grant the boon. Before he left the Sabha Mantapam, Kayadhu, Hiranyakashipu's Patni, came with the strip and she showed those red lines and said, "मैं pregnant हूँ." So he immediately congratulated. Congrats at Kayadu. He tagged her handle. And from the next room, he liked that. So that's how most of the Facebook posts work. Ingendrika pesha matar. Angen like panvar. So he said, "Take care of your health. The world is small. We'll keep meeting again. See ya," and all of that he said and left. Now, as he left, he reached the Parvata base and started meditating. See, Asuras, one thing we have to appreciate, extremely hardworking. Very hardworking. If you read the Puranas, you'll know how hardworking they are. But they won't know how to use that boon. So one thing we have to learn from them is to how to work hard. So he prayed to Brahma and Brahma appeared. Brahma being the Ashutoshi, he appeared. And Hiranyakashipu asked, like every Asura, what we have read in Amar Chitrakatha, every serial, they will ask, immortality, I should not die. Brahma had the standard answer. See, the Atma is eternal, it will never die. Shariram is non-eternal, perishable, you'll have to shed this material body. And to grant you immortality, first of all, I should be immortal, which I am not. So I cannot grant you something which I don't have in my own kitty. So ask for the boon in a different way. That is when he made it like an optimization scenario. In engineering, we have something called optimization. Nantar bahir diva naktam anyasyadapi chayudhaihi. I should not be killed during the day nor during the night. I should not be killed by an ayudham which has life, nor something which is an animate object, something like a snake. I should not be killed within my house nor outside my house. I should not be killed in the space nor on earth. I should not... list of boons. What all is possible? Neither this nor that. Neither this nor that. Brahma started sweating. He thought he is going to lose his job very soon by granting such unreasonable boons. He said, "Hiranyakashipu, ye kya hai? Have you left something? Is there something left? यदि दास्यस्य अभिमतान् वरान्मे वरदोत्तम भूतेभ्यस्त्वद्भि सृष्टेभ्यो मृत्युर्मा भून्मम प्रभो." Yes, I have left one bhagam. I should not be killed by anyone who falls under the ambit of your creation. You should have not created. Brahma, done. ठीक है. Thank you, and he left because he knew somebody has created him who doesn't fall under the ambit of his creation. Vidhataram ghoram sakhalu tapasitva na chirataha purasakshat kurvan suranara mrigadyair anidhanam varam labdhva dripto jagadiha bhavan nayakamidam parikshunad nidrat aharata divam tvamaganayan. He received those boons. On the other hand, Kayadhu, Hiranyakashipu's Dharmapatni, who was pregnant, one day outside her Sabha Mantapam, an old man had come seeking alms. So she got some fruits, blueberry, raspberry, cranberry. All that she gave to this man. And this man took some kerchief, chloroform, he put it like this and took her. How do you kidnap? Generally, this is the way I've seen in movies. This man kidnapped her and took her in his Airavatam, the four-tusked elephant. Narada Maharshi, who was on his way, noticed this elephant, noticed Indra and noticed this lady and said, "Hello Indra, this is not Shachi Devi, ye kaun hai?" He said, "This is Mrs. Hiranyakashipu, her name is Kayadu. Why are you kidnapping? When did you start doing all this?" Indra, that is when he said, "See, this lady is carrying the fetus of that Hiranyakashipu. If I let this child grow, let the child be born and survive, this child will act like his father. How can I let another antisocial element just like the father, so be the son, appear in this society? Narada said, see, you cannot decide the nature of a child based on what the parents are. Indra, your father Kashyapa was such a good man. அவர் நல்லவர் தானேப்பா, இது ஆச்சரிய புரியல அதுக்கு. So he said, do not worry. Vedanta Deshika uses this in Shatadushani. He says you can never ever determine the nature of a child based on the parents. You can never be judgmental. It all depends on the Purva Janma karma of that Atma. If Ravana is bad, then his brother Vibhishana should have also been bad. If Hiranyakashipu is bad, his son Prahlada should have also been bad. We don't have such examples. Why? Because it is just not your Purva Janma karma, it is also the nature that you're brought up, your scenario, your surroundings that matter a lot. So that is when Narada convinced, he said, don't torment her. I will take her to my ashramam. Now that her husband is away in tapasya, I will take her to my ashramam. I will ensure that the child is good. He took Kayadhu to his ashramam. Kayadhu regained consciousness. That is when she was assigned one room and she was told, whatever you want, you can order here. Whichever cuisine you want. Be it lasagna se lekar, nachos se lekar. Whatever you want, you can order. And after that, you come for my lecture, Upanyasam. That is not recommended generally. After food, you should never attend a lecture. See, after having sumptuous lunch, why will you sit for a lecture? As such, Bhagavatam will give you good Parabrahma Chintanam. Why will you eat and come? But here, he was told, as she was told, she used to eat and then listen. And Narada had only one person in the audience. And it is told in our hearsay, which is our Sishtachara Parampara, that she used to listen and the child initially, and then as she started snoring, the child would listen. That is why I'm sure there will be medical practitioners here, obstetricians. But when we come to a certain way in which embryology is described by Kapila and all our Purvacharyas, they believe that the child's listening ability begins while he or she is in the womb itself. That is why it was very pertinent upon mothers and fathers to listen to Bhagavatam and Ramayanam at even the moment they are married. So they start listening. And one of the instruments in our Vadyam that a child can take cognizance of is the Veena. That is why in the 7th, 8th month juncture, in a Seemanton Nayanam, Seemantam means parting. When you split the hair, one way of combing is putting all the hair backwards. If the woman is pregnant for the first time, then the needle of a porcupine, Mullam Pandri we call it in Tamil, that is taken and the hair is split, parted. This parting, this way of splitting in Sanskritam is called Seemantam. Seemantam means splitting. And where do you get, now what to do with the porcupine, sir? Splitting and all we'll do. What to do with that porcupine? See, in Srimad Ramayanam, Kishkindha Kandam, Vali accuses Rama. He says, Rama, why did you even hunt? If you believe that you're a Kshatriya and you've been hunting me, why did you hunt me? I am not an elephant. An elephant has ivory for which it is being hunted. I do not possess ivory. Which monkey possesses ivory? I don't possess ivory. A tiger is being hunted for its nails, for its teeth. What will you do with the teeth of a monkey? A deer is being hunted for its flesh, venison, and its skin, which is used for dhyanam. I am a Vanar, I don't have any of these. That is when Rama says, Pancha Panchanakhaha Bhakshya. Vali, it is said that 5 nailed 5 animals can be hunted. Then Vali asks, in those 5 animals I am not there. Because a Kshatriya was allowed to hunt 5 animals. 5 nailed 5 animals. In those 5 animals, one is iguana, second is tortoise, third is hare, fourth is rhino, fifth is porcupine. Sir, what will we do? This is what the rule was. In that porcupine, the flesh was consumed, the needles were taken out. And they would be preserved by families if Seemantam happens in their family. That needle will be used to split the hair. Seemantam. When Rama constructed the bridge between Bharata Desham and Lanka, he constructed the setu that would part the waters of the ocean. So Vedanta Deshika says Rama did Seemantam to the ocean. Setu patha Seema Seemantita Samudra. In Tamil as a language, compared to most other languages, there is no difference between ta and da. So we call it Seemandam. It is not Mandam. It is Seemantam. Ta. This ta da will always be a problem. We say Modi. It is not Modi. It's Modi. Da. When I told this in Vasant Vihar, Delhi, some people said, ठीक बता रहे हैं सर, वो मोदी नहीं है, मोदी है. मैंने बोला वैसे ही वो डोसा नहीं है, वो डोसा है. Right? We compensate our mistakes. So this Seemantam, when it is performed, the veena is played. Now for Kayadhu, who played the veena? Narada played the veena. That is why Bhattatri says, Muner veena panehe. So Seemantam was performed and the lady used to listen only to Bhagavad Vishayam. And when she developed labor, there was Nama Sankirtanam in the background. Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana 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 Narayana. Kayadhu delivered a child who gave her, bestowed her with immense happiness. Happiness is ahladam. He enhanced her existing happiness. Prahlada. So the child was born. Such vibrant, such spiritually blissful environ was given to the child. And Hiranyakashipu came from his on-site project, receiving those boons. He saw his wife missing. Immediately the people in the Sabha Mantapam said, her address is number 4, Narada Cross Street, Narada Main Road, Narada, go there. So he went, and Narada Maharishi was extremely happy. He said, Hiranyakashipu andara jao. And then Kayadhu narrated how there was a kidnap attempt and how Narada rescued her, nurtured her, gave her shelter and was very conducive for her peaceful coexistence. Immediately Hiranyakashipu said, congratulations, and he arranged for one title giving ceremony. He gave one title, Narada, some title, one certificate, one shawl. For us, 250 lectures I give in a year. Every lecture I'll send rules, because earlier I never used to send. They'll give one full jari shawl. Have you seen that? That full jari. That is useful for no one. Shunappuchamivavattam pandityam dambavarjitam. They will give one shawl, bright green, full of jari. Imagine, I have to talk in Chennai, Hyderabad, already 42 degrees. What will I do with that shawl? See, when you give someone something, it should be useful to them. And first they will open that shawl on the stage, that Dinatandi paper will fall on the stage. That arrangement also they won't do. So, one title will be given. For us also, some organization they'll give us Upanyasa Kesari, Upanyasa Upma, idu onnu kudutruva. Edo title. Inda Tilakam and idu Upanyasa Kesari, he is going to speak, but that person will talk very poorly. So the point is, titles don't make, see, of course there are many titles that organizations give because, some Mahanubhava will cut this clip alone and will circulate. Dushyanth is disrespecting. No, I'm not disrespectful. See, these titles and all, to some extent, only to a certain extent, they'll be helpful. Not a very big thing. So that is why you should always give a befitting person the award. If a person does not talk good about Tyagaraja, you don't have to give. So now coming back to the point, here Hiranyakashipu was praiseful of Narada, and he said, Narada, you have done a good job, and he took his wife to the Sabha Mantapam. And being that little child, we all do atrocities with newly born children. Now first we'll start guessing. Amma madri irukla. See, newly born children, they won't show any such clear physical characteristics. If you put 30, 40 children together, they will all look one and the same. Slow, it will take time. But immediately, some people are so enthusiastic about asking questions to little born children. Appa pare, nodo, yel tande idare nodad yarno nodbidutte. ತಂದೆಗೆ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲದು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನಿಲ್ತಬೇಕು. ಸರ್ ನನ್ನೇ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನೇ ಸರ್, ಅಪ್ಪ ಯಾರಿಯೋ ಪಾತ್ಬಿಡು. ಸೊ then the child was around 1.5, 2 years. The father asked, what have you learnt, Prahlad? Shasta Vishnuraseshasya jagado yo hridi sthitaha Tameva paramatmanam tatah kahkena shasyate. Vishnu Purana Vakyam. Adi Shankara, Ramanuja will be using the same shloka many times in their bhashyam. Shasta Vishnu Raseshasya. Father, I don't know much. I just know one thing. The one who's commanding you from the within and the one who's commanding me from the within is one and the same, called Narayana. That's all. His eyes became red. You're watching too much of WhatsApp. Kya ho raha hai, Prahlad? I have to put you to school. He called the sons of Shukracharya, called Shanda and Amarka, and said, teach that I am Parabrahman. They say, sir, there is no course material at all to tell that you are Parabrahman. Teach! This boy was taken. Classes would begin at 7 a.m. But to the surprise of the teachers, they heard something very mellifluous and melodious at about 4 a.m. in the morning. They were all ears to know who did this, and they got out of their ashramam, their hermitage, and when they walked, they noticed that this little boy was tutoring the other boys. Kashtadallirali, Utkrishhtadallirali, Yeshtadaru Madikettirali, Krishna Krishna Vembo Sishtaru Beduva Ashtakshara Mahamantrada Namava Narayana Ninna Namada Smaraneya Saramritavu Yenanaligege Barali Narayana. The other students, he's such a good teacher, let us learn from him, Our teacher is so poor, Teachers were worried. We thought of tutoring him, he is tutoring the others. They dragged this boy and took to the court of Hiranyakashipu and said, sir, your son is extremely talented. We cannot handle his talent. You tutor him, you take TC, go to some other school. I don't know whether they know TC here or not. You remember transfer certificate? No. You take TC and go, sir. That is when the father, that way I appreciate Hiranyakashipu. He asked, see, I've spent so much of money on you, there should be an ROI. What did you learn all these days? The boy said, Papa, I learned something. Shravanam, listening. See, in Sanatana Dharma, I can't talk about the general skills that most therapists or most counselors advise, because that is a different route that they take. All I can say is what Dharma says, listening. See, there can be no substitute for listening. If you have to learn about Dharma, listen. Shravanam, Shravanam, Shravanam. How many hours? As many hours. Listen while you're you're working out. Listen while you're cooking. Listen while you're driving. While you're traveling, say you're taking flights, long flights. Listen. So there is no substitute for listening. Shravanam, Shravanam, Shravanam. Honestly, I'll tell you, I'll be very, very frank. I enjoy my days while I was a listener. All that I have to do is just go sit to the lecture of Brahma Shri Sundar Kumar Anna or somebody and just keep listening. I used to take notes. It was so peaceful. Now I should be worried I should not take break in the middle. I cannot drink water in the middle. See, music, dance, it's different because dancers between every of gap, narration. Musicians, you can always involve your accompanists. There will be a Taniya Vartanam for the Mridangam, one for the Tawil, one for the Morsing. Whereas in a discourse, I can't afford. I have to keep on talking. So there is much, I would say, I wouldn't call it pressure, but there are rules for us. So listening, there is no compensation for listening. Shravanam. After listening, what do we do? Kirtanam. Whatever you listen, you can just, repeat those shlokas. This is how you learn shlokas. You don't have to dedicate yourself. You sit in one place and you just recollect what is being told. When you head back home, just give 5 minutes to yourself. Just take 5 takeaway points from today's lecture. Type it out in a WhatsApp message. Simple 5 takeaways. Send it to 5 relatives of yours. See, Sanatana Dharma as a religion doesn't believe in coaxing someone to come back to Hinduism. Come. If you don't come, you see, we don't use such methods. Nor do we have the money to lure people. See, to lure people, you should have money that we don't have. Nor do we have ayudham to cause fear in someone. So the only way this dharma can sustain is through pracharam. What you listen, you tell 5 other people. Don't say, sir. Why? Why do you have the diffidence in that person? Trust that the person will read 5 takeaway points, each point of 4 words or 5 words. That's all you have learned from today's lecture. Give. This is how dharma pracharam will happen. So, Shravanam Kirtanam. Vayinal Padi. Bhajan Seyave Manasa Parama Bhakti To Rama Bhajan Seyave. Tyagaraja says Bhajan Seyave Manasa Parama Bhakti To. That Rama Namam should give us goosebumps. Shravanam Kirtanam. Vishnoho Smaranam. He then says, just listening and reciting will not help. Remembering, that is a big problem. Sir, we listen. Remembrance is a problem. What do we do? Should we, there is one special spinach called as Vallarai. You get some Brahmi tablets also, you can try. See, all that will help only to a certain extent. You know why we don't remember? Kanna, you have to. You want to go somewhere? Okay. So, because there was feedback was blocking. Vishnoho Smaranam. You have to think of Bhagavan. How do we think? See, the point is, it is not we do not have the ability to remember. We do have the ability to remember, but we have stored our brain with something which is unwanted. Did you attend to the recent marriage of Pankajam's daughter? No. 25 years back when I went to the other person's marriage, she spoke such things. We remember that. That is irrelevant to our existence. But we remember those details. That is why, see, your phone, if it is fully filled, if you have to take the next photo, it will say your memory is full. You have to delete to include something new. So learn how to unlearn the irrelevant things to accommodate the relevant things. That's an art. We should know what is asaram, alpasaram cha saram saratabham tyajet. So we have to forget certain things. That is why Vishnoho smaranam, thinking of Bhagavan. Pada sevanam. Krishna, when the Rajasuya Yajnam happened, you remember some 45 minutes back I spoke about Rajasuya Yajnam. When everyone took a duty, you know what Krishna did? He said, I will also want to do something. Yudhishthira, to those people who recite Vedas in your house, I will wash their feet. Krishna did that. Pada sevanam. Krishna does that. Archanam. That Archana. See, why do we do Archana? Many of your children will be asking such questions. When we go to a temple, Mama, why do we do Archana? Because even when you go to somebody's house, you want to say some nice things about them, right? Hi, it's so long, been so long seeing you. Hey, nice house. When did you pick up this piece? So nice. You want to say some nice things when you enter a house. You know, okay. It's okay, fine. I just came. So you want to say some nice things when you meet the other person. Be about positivity. For a primitive mortal like us, we demand such things. When you're meeting Parabrahmam in a Devasthanam, you want to say some nice things. But to say nice things, we must know nice things, which we don't. So our Purvacharyas have made some ready-made Archana, so that on your behalf, the priest will say such nice things. Oh, the one who has measured the worlds, Trivikramaya Namaha. Oh, the one, when you talk about Mahalakshmi, the one who is the Prakriti, the one who is the cause for all these tattvas, the one who is the effect, Vikriti. Prakrityai namaha, vikrityai namaha, vidyayai namaha, sarvabhuta hitapradayai namaha, shraddhayai namaha, paramatmikayai namaha, vache namaha, padmapriyayai namaha, padmahastayai namaha, padmakshayai namaha, padmasundaryai namaha. So on your behalf, the priest is praising Mahalakshmi. So two things are important. The priest should also be sincere and we should also be sincere in listening. Archanam. Vandanam. You put your hands together. That's a very, very Indic way of greeting someone. And who teaches us today? WhatsApp. In WhatsApp, in the emoticon, the moment you put thanks, immediately Vandanamu Raghu. And you can select, now they say that, you cannot give one color to the hands. You will have multiple colors in that. Right? Because you should not be racist, so there will be all colors. All the colors of the spectrum. Vandanamu Raghu Nandana Setu Bandhana Bhakta Chandana Vandanam Shravanam Kirtanam Vishno Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam. You see yourself. July 4th you celebrated your Independence Day. We celebrated on the 15th of August. Yes, the country is independent, but a Jivatma is always a dependent. Dasyam. Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmani Vedanam Iti Pumsar Pitar Vishnor Bhaktische Navalakshana. Had my son or daughter spoken such words, I would have done a recording, I would have circulated, made it viral. And you know what Hiranyakashipu did? You should be killed for stating such things. Sashulair avidha subahumathito diggajaganaihi mahasarpaidashtopyanashana garahara vidhutaha. He was thrown from the mountain. Protected by Bhumi Devi, he came back home. He was asked to be put before those elephants, which were mad. Mad elephants, very rough, tough elephants. When the elephant would come running towards Prahlada to trample upon upon him, Prahlada said, see, your father's 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 father, that Gajendra was protected by Bhagavan, and that Bhagavan who protected your forefather is now resting within my heart. If you trample upon me, you will remain ungrateful to your ancestor. And the elephant understood. At times animals are very kind than human beings. They will understand better. And that elephant put reverse gear and went back. Okay. Poison was given, he didn't die. Shulam was inserted, he didn't die. The father was extremely worried, perplexed, petrified. What gives him this hope? Who's protecting this child? He called Prahlada, idhar aao bhaiya, beta, idhar aao. Who's protecting you? Tell me the name. The one who is pervaded every bit of space, my dear father, he's protecting me. Come again? He is omniscient, omnipresent, sarvagya, sarvavyapi. He is protecting me, father. See, Bhagavan is sarvavyapi. Our acharyas say, only when Prahlada told this, did Bhagavan also realize that he is sarvavyapi. He told Lakshmi, ये बेटा बता रहा है कि मैं सर्वव्यापी हूँ. पता नहीं था नारायण आपको? पता नहीं था, अभी पता चला. Immediately, Bhagavan had to ensure that the boy's confidence is not lost. The one who was already omniscient was there everywhere. He was within the pillar. And his nails were sharp. Why? Asks Acharya. He says that when Bhagavan was inside the pillar, he wanted to spend his time usefully. So he was sharpening his nails. Nakhattukku uram pottu kondirundar. And he had pervaded. Sarvatra asti sada asti. Trailokyameta dakhilam narasimha garbham. He is there everywhere. In Srimad Narayaniyam in Guruvayur, Bhattadri thought for a moment, how could a little boy say such high philosophical things with such confidence to a tyrant father? He closed his eyes, he opened his eyes, he saw the Sabha Mantapam of Hiranyakashipu running with his mace towards a pillar. The Garbhagraham had transformed into a pillar and he was running towards it. And as Hiranyakashipu took his mace and he went towards that pillar, and it struck the pillar like a dicotyledon, and the pillar split. That is when Bhagavatam says that there was a form that was never seen before. It had the head of a lion and the body of a Purana Purusha, with eyes that looked akin to 1,000 suns melted together. Stambhe ghattayato hiranyakashipo karnau samachurnayan agurna jagadanda kunda kuharo gorastava bhudravaha shutva kila daitya raja hridaye purvakadapya shrutam kampakaschana sampapapa daitosma ambhoja bhuvishtarat bhukhandam varanandam paravaravarakam dambadam porudampam dim 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 didimbam dahamahidahamai jampa jampai Jampaihi Tulyas 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 Dhuma 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 Kai Kunkuman Kai Kuman Kaihi Etatte Purna Yuktam Ahara Karaha Patu Narasimha Shankam Chakram Chachapam Parashuma Shamishum Shulapa Shankushastram Vajjam Khetam Kala Musalagada Kanta Mattugradam Shtam Jala Kesham Trunetram Hara Musalagadam Harake Yura Bhusham Vande Pratyeka Rupam Parapada Nivasaptatu Narasimha Shankam Chakram Chachapam Parashuma Shamishum Shulapa Shankushastram Vajjam Khetam Kala Musalagada Kanta Mattugradam Jala Kesham Trunetram Hara Musalagadam Harake Yura Bhusham Vande Pratyeka Rupam Parapada Nivasaptatu Narasimha Nasagram Pina Gandham Parabala Madalam Baddake Yuraha
जकारां रौद्रं दंष्ट्राकरालं ममितगुणगणं कोटिसूर्याग्निनेत्रं गाम्भीर्यं तुङ्गराक्षं भ्रुकुटितविमुखं षोडशादर्धबाहुं वन्दे भीमोत्तहासं पुरुवरविजयोत्पातु मां नरसिंहः जं 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 जकारं जश जश जहितं जानुदेशं दं दकारं हुं 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 हकारं हरितगणसायं दिशोदं वकारं वं 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 वकारं वदन निदतं वामपक्षं सुपक्षं लं 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 वकारं लघुवनविजयः पातु मां नरसिंहः मौनं समानस्य समुत्थितो गतो निसंरूपस्तदं भयानकं प्रतप्तचामीकरचण्डलोचनं स्फुरत्कटाकेसरझुम्बिताननं करालदंष्टं करवाल चञ्चल स्फुरान्ति जिह्वं भ्रुकुटी मुकोल्बनं स्तब्धोद्रकरणं गिरिकन्धराद्भुत व्यातात्तनासं अनुभेद भीषणं says Vijayendra Tirtha, Narayana Tirtha. So when that Nrisimha jumped from the pillar, it was a form, na bhuto na bhavishyati, says Shastram. There would never be an avataram like this or will never be like this. Akanthamadi purusham kanthiravam uparikunthitaratim, says Vedanta Deshika. It was very unique because Brahma had never ever designed in his Srishti where two different jatis come together, Mriga Jati and Nara Jati. It was Narasimha Vapuhu Shriman. It was a form that will never be forgotten in our Puranic history. It is beyond our understanding of logic. Such was the form of Narasimha. And when Narasimha jumped, Hiranyakashipu was shocked. When the nails are being cut, you don't feel that pain. So, Ramanuja in his Sri Bhashyam does a complete research of this. And that is when Hiranyakashipu Vadham was done. And Acharyas go to the extent of telling that as the finger was inserted, why did Narasimha do? He says that a priceless pearl called Prahlada had emerged from this body. Is there some other devotee hidden in this body? Thought Narasimha. Since it was Narasimha's birth then, see, Narasimha had emerged from the pillar. So you treat that as his birth. The moment the child is born, there are some infections that the child acquires. So there used to be a skin infection called Pandanai in those days. So Periyalvar says, for Narasimha, who may get skin infection called Pandanai, I will sing Pallandu. Pandanai Tira Pallandu Pallayirattandan Mine. So Prahlada had a conversation with Narasimha. Narasimha said, what boon do you want, Prahlada? Prahlada said, Swami, my father has committed various doshams, apacharams against me. Please do not hold him against you. Please forgive him for my sake. Narasimha said, okay, deal done. I have forgiven Hiranyakashipu. Ask another boon. That is when Prahlada said, see, when you appeared in front of me and said, Prahlada, ask for a boon, what should I as a devotee have asked? I should have said, having your darshanam is koti punyam, I will not ask for a boon. But the moment you said, ask for a boon, shamelessly I opened my mouth and said, Bhagavan, please forgive my father. So I have asked for a boon. If at all you wish to grant me another boon, grant me the boon that in the future when you appear in front of me and ask, Prahlada, what boon do you want? I should say, I do not want any boon, I just want to see you. So Prahlada's bhakti is a beautiful testament to how flawless devotion can be. That said, from this, we have to transition to Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam. Akanthamadi purusham kanthiravam uparikunthitaratim vegopakantha sangat vimukta vaikuntha bahumati mupase bandhumakilasya jantoho bandura pariyanka bandharamaniyam vishama vilochanamide vegavati pulinakeli narasimham swasthanishu marudganan niyamayan swadhina sarvendriyaha paryanka sthiradarana prakatita pratyang mukhavastitihi prayena pranipedusham prabhurasau yogam nijam sikshayan कामानातनुता अशेष जगतां कामासिका केसरी. Vayam na mrigam na manusham. Parikshit asks, Vadarayana etatte shrotumichhamahe vayam hariryatha gajapatim grahagrasta mamuchuchat tatkatha sumahat punyam dhanyam swastyayanam shubham yatra yatrottama shloko bhagavan giyate harihi. So Parikshit, after Nisimhavatara Vrittantam, he asks a question. Badarayana etatte shrotumichhamahe vayam hariryata gajapatim. It is said that there was a fight between a Gajapati, Gajendra, and Grahagrastu Mamuchuchat, between a crocodile. What is this story? Can you tell me about it? See, this Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam is very unique. It happened before Ramayanam, narrated in the Bhagavatam, and its shlokartham and aitihyartham is very important. I'll tell you how towards the end. So, it talks about an elephant called Gajendra. Gajanam Indraha iti Gajendraha. So, the one who is a leader to Gajas is called Gajendra or Gajapati. So, this Gajendra or Gajapati, as per Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam clearly states, see, from Bhagavatam we come to know very clearly that one of the very important avatars called Gajendra Moksham happened in the south of India, Dakshina Bharatam. Because I told you, Rama Avataram, Krishna Avataram is Mathura and Ayodhya. Though they all came to different places, the Avataram happened in Uttara Pradesh Bhumi. Similarly, if you take into other avatarams like Nisimha Avataram, you take Varaha, because this place of Kashmir is very important to us. If you extend to Kashmir, there is a place where Varaha Mula appeared. Varaha, through the Mula appeared. I told you yesterday about the glaciers and all of that, right? Varaha Mula is Baramulla. You see that word, right? Baramulla. That Va becomes Ba. Varaha Mula is Baramulla. And that is where we see the snakes as well. That is why the place is called Anantanag. The dynasty is called Karkota. Takshaka Shila is Takshila. So you've got the snake origin there. So that region is very important. So all avatars we are shifting from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Uttar Pradesh. What will we do? Gajendra Moksham. See, as per Bhagavatam, Gajendra lived by the banks of river Tamraparini, by the foothills of Malaya Parvatam. So you have got that Agasthyar Kudam today near Tirukkurungudi. You follow the Tirunelveli place. You have got a place called Attanallur. Have you heard of this place called Attanallur? Attanallur is near Tirunelveli. That is where it is said Gajendra Moksham happened. Because as per Bhagavatam, we get the word reference exactly as Tamraparani. So this Gajendra used to live in that area. See, now when I talk about Gajendra Moksham, most grandparents here will know, because the first story they will tell their grandchildren is Gajendra Moksham. The Tata will become the Modalai. That is when the party will get a chance to cut. Tata. Vaya, veteran photo. So, Gajendra Moksham, at one level, we may think, what is this, sir? Some elephant is fighting a crocodile. Every day it happens in Masai Mara. You go to Kenya, you see in a National Geographic channel, there will be the elephant will try to cross the waters, one crocodile will catch its foot or trunk. It's a normal story. ये क्या है आप भागवत में डाल दिए हैं? ये तो साधारण कथा है. Absolutely normal story. ये क्या है इसमें? There is something more than normal. I'll tell you when. Gajendra, he used to go to a tatakam, a pushkarini, filled with lotuses. He was a king amongst elephants. You know, in Kerala, there is a festival called Puram. In Thrissur, it's a festival called Puram. And you should see the galaxy of elephants that come. And there will be a beautiful Kaikottikali. Kaikattukali is a special dance in Kerala. Then you do that Mohini Attam with your eyes, and then you go in concentric circles like Rasa Krida. It's very beautiful. And there is one elephant. Thrissoooril unna famous elephant ആരാണ്? അത് ഗുരുവായൂരുള്ള കേശവൻ. അത് മരിച്ചല്ലേ? ആ കേശവൻ മരിച്ചു. ഇത് ഒരു ഫേസ്ബുക്ക് പേജാണ് ഈ എലിഫൻറ്റ്. എവിടെയാണ് സാർ? ആ ഗജത്തിൻ്റെ പേര് രാമചന്ദ്രൻ. That elephant is called Ramachandran. He has got a Facebook page also. And he has got 11 FIRs against him. He's killed so many people. You sadharana elephant, very rowdy elephant. Tamil Nadu irukka vendiyadhu. So now this elephant Gajendra was super powerful. And he had, all this is there in Bhagavatam. Don't think I'm saying something. The female elephants were following him. There are 4-5 shlokas about this. Then he goes to the Tatakam. And you know how see, I'll tell you what my grandmother used to tell me. The elephant used to go pluck one flower and used to keep that for Bhagavan in the temple. No such thing is there in Bhagavatam. The elephant wanted as a style statement. It just took that, plucked a lotus, held it in its trunk. As like any day, it wanted to exit the Pushkarini waters. 3 of its limbs were out, 1 was still held. It was wondering what was holding its limb in the waters. It was in that limb was in the jaws of a ferocious crocodile. Now the elephant starts trying to release its limb from the jaws of the crocodile. The other female elephants tried to pull the other 3 legs of the elephant. So they were not doing any help. It is called Upakara Shatru. In the guise of helping, some people will trouble you. So, Gaja akarshate tire, Graha akarshate jale. This elephant tried to fight. And that is when, while this fight was happening, those female elephants left. How long can they stay? Let's see, wherever the world is small, let's keep meeting again. If you survive, this elephant was trying to fight for survival. Till now, it is a normal Masai Mara Kenya fight. When does it become Bhagavatam? I told you yesterday, there are very select people who can remember their previous Janma. The elephant was one. In its previous Janma, what was it? The elephant was a Pandya king. See, we generally believe the order is we'll be a tree, then we'll be an animal, from animal we'll become a human. The order can reverse also. From human you can go back to an animal. So he was a king called Indradyumna. Indradyumnaha Pandya Khandadirajaствadbhaktatma Chandanadrau kadachit Tvatsevayam Magnadhihi Aluloke Naivagastyam Praptamatithyakamam. Agastya had come once south of Vindhyas because there was the celestial marriage of Himavan's daughter Parvati. You remember the day I told Parna, Parvati, Uma, she wanted to marry Shiva. All of them attended that marriage. It was a grand marriage. It happened for many, many months. One destination, one in the same place, one in some cruise. Edo kadalku nadula poi ellaru muligi onna poi adula kulichi ezhundu. You have to take Adirasam from Grand Sweets that will be shipped. Then you have to take that to that cruise. All this was being done. So this marriage was such a grandeur, so grand, that Shiva said, you'll have to balance tapasya in the south because all of them have come for this marriage. So one person can suffice. Agastya, you go. We don't know what was his earlier name. Some say he was Kumbha Muni. Kumbha is a pot. Muni, the one who arose from a pot. See, I do not want to coax scientific terms here, but it is very similar to IVF because in IVF we have something called in vitro where the fertilization happens outside the body and then it is implanted in the mother. So it is in vitro, petri dish. So here he was a Kumbha Muni. He arose from a Kumbha. That is why Dikshitar says, Pura Kumbha Sambhava Munivara Prapujitam Trikona Madhyagatam Murari Pramukhadhyupasitam Mooladhara Kshetra Sthitam. Mooladhara Kshetram is Tiruvarur. Tiruvarur was called Mooladhara Kshetram or Shripuram. So in Shaktism, you've got Sri Vidya Upasana, so you call it Shripuram. Kamala Pura Sadanam Mrudugadanam Kamaniya Radanam Kamala Vadanam Kamala Bam Bhajare Pura Kumbha Sambhava Munivara. Kumbha Sambhava Munivara. Kumbha Sambhava Muni is Agastya. But why was he called Agastya? Agaha, mountain. He did not let Vindhyas grow any further. So he was called Agastya. And he came south. From Maharashtra till Tamil Nadu, he was going up and down. In that due course, he formulated the grammar of a new language called Tamil. That is why his grammar is called as Agatyam. So Agastya came up. Agastya Bhasha Desham we call it. Tamil Nadu. So Tamil has been a very old language that way. That said, Agastya used to come top, bottom. Now he came to this Pandya Desham. Pandya Desha had many capitals. He came to the capital, he wanted to meet Indradyumna. Indradyumna was a great devotee of Narayana and he would do Aradhanam to Narayana. Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudanaya Namaha. Extremely devoted. For no cause, for no reason, he would stop. And when he was informed Agastya had come, Keshavaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Namaste Madhusudanaya, Trivikramaya, Okandukungo, Sridharaya Namaha, Rishikeshaya Namaha, Damodaraya Namaha, used to say. That's all. This is how we tell, if we should not lose control, because Sahasranamam is a loop. If you forget where you have said, you will keep on going. So you don't want to lose control, you'll never stop. Poor Indradyumna, he did this, and as he welcomed Atitheya Satkaram to Agastya, he nodded, Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya, Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudanaya. He nodded. That's all. Agastya got angry. He said, since you have nodded your head, you will become an animal that keeps nodding its head, which he became an elephant. Idukkallam poi shaapam kodutha. Adda sir nanga yariyume koopparde illa. Koottadane sir problem. Indradyumnaha Pandya Kandadi Rajastvad-bhaktatma Chandanadrau kadachit Tvatsevayam Magnadhihi Aluloke Naivagastyam Praptamatithyakamam Kumbodbhutihi Sambhrita Krodha Bharaha Stabdhatma Tvam Hasti Bhuyam Bhajeti Shaptvatyainam Pratyagat Sopilebhe Hastindratvam Tvatsmritir Vyakti Dhanyam. So this Indradyumna, who was cursed by Agastya towards the end of his life, and his Atma left his body, it entered this Gajashariram, and he was acting like a normal elephant until that he was not able to endure that pain, and at that point in time he became a Jati Smara and remembered his previous Janma where he used to venerate and propitiate Narayana. So that Bhakti Yogam experience gave him that remembrance of that stuti called Gajendra Stuti. Remember, when we say that Gajendra did this stuti, Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Etat Chetat Chidatmakam, it doesn't mean the elephant. See, in that Lion King movie and all, that lion will talk. You should not immediately assume the elephant started speaking. The elephant venerated. What it venerated within its mind and heart was deciphered as a shloka by Shuka Brahman. You're able to get the meaning. You go to certain houses, they will have dogs and cats as pet. அதுக்கு ஒரே கோவம் என் மேலே அப்படின்பா. சொல்லித்தா வாயை திறந்துன்னா இல்லை, I can really sense their language. I know when he's angry with me அப்படின்பா. அது வாயை திறந்து எனக்கு உன் மீது ரொம்ப கோபம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு புரிஞ்சுண்டாலும் அந்த மாதிரி Shukabrahman was able to make this into a shloka. Because your grandson will ask, Party, how did Gajendra say these shlokas? Now, you would have never asked this question to your grandparents. So, you will be wondering, நம்ம கேட்காது எப்படி கேட்கறது முதல்ல இல்லையா? In Cambodia, when I went for a trip in 2019, the parents were unable to handle their child in the airport. They said, நீங்க பார்த்துக்கோ சார், ஏதோ கதை சொல்லிடுங்க இதுக்கு அப்படின்ட்டு. They sent it to me. I had to engage that child. So I asked him, what story you want? I want Vinayak story. சரி விநாயக்னா ஆரம்பிச்சுட்டேன். So I said, Parvati made an idol. She gave life to that idol. He was a Nara. Then he was asked to guard. Then Shiva came. Parvati was inside. So Shiva took the Trushulam and cut the head. The head fell. Then later another head had to be attached. Vishnu came, took the elephant's head. He asked me a doubt. I said, what is the doubt? Why can't he attach the same boy's head itself? Number you amalle. See, I'm not being appreciative or I'm not trying to demean the questions asked by the youngsters. The honest, so the education system that they undergo, either here or there, probably coaxes them or motivates them to ask a plethora of questions, which wouldn't have struck the minds of many elderly people. That's okay. But they want answers. That's the problem. Right? They want answers. And not all of them will have answers. So, one way is, as Upanyasakas, we should take upon those questions, think and come up with answers. Or, you should tell see, one more thing. Just because there is no instant answer, it doesn't mean there's no answer. Not having an answer at that moment doesn't mean there's no answer. You will get the answer at some point in time. Wait. Patience is also an important virtue that people should learn. Nobody is patient, right? So, this Gajendra did this stuti. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Chidatmakam Purushaya Adibijaya Pareshaya Abhidhimahi Yasmin Nidam Yatachedam Yenedam Ya Idam Swayam Yosmat Parasmat Chaparastam Prapadye Swayam Bhuvam. Now this elephant cried for help. What did it cry out? It said, Karana. Moolam. In Tamil we say, Adi Moolame Parame Parame Endalaitha Yanai. Moolam, Karanam. But it didn't say the cause should come and protect me. It said the causeless cause should protect me. Somebody who is the cause for everything, but who doesn't have a cause for himself. That causeless cause should protect. Adi Moolame. This has two words, Adi and Moolam. Two different words. The second word was echoed. Adi Moolame, Moolame, Moolame. Echo. So that Moolam word, cause word was heard by Brahma. He said, I am the Moolam, I am the cause. Saraswati, Hans ko bulao. That was the Vahan. Hans idhar aa jao. And he sat on Hans and he went. Yenu ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ ಇವತ್ತು? ನನಗೇನಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಯಾವುದು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ. ಸೊ ಬಿಸಿಬೇಳೆ ಬಾತ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು. He started. Moolame, 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 Moolame. This was heard in Kailasham. And Nataraja Swami, Mahadeva and Parvati were dancing. Both are excellent dancers. The moment Shiva heard, he said, Parvati, na போயிட்டு வந்துடுறேம்மா. சரி, ஃப்ரிட்ஜில் கொஞ்சோண்டு தேங்காய் சாதம் பண்ணி வச்சுருக்கேன், அதை எடுத்துன்னு போங்க. அதையும் எடுத்துன்னு போயாச்சு. அடுத்தது, now that Moolam was heard, Narayana was sleeping. No change. Some people, whatever happens, they won't. இடியே அடிச்சா அதே இடத்துல. So They all left. Uksha dakshantakasya skhalati valajita kunjara khanjariti sklanto dhatu shakunto anuga iti dayaya samiruddhasya dopi graha grasta dvipendra kshati bhaya chakita kuntha vaikuntha chinta nasirodara murtir naraka vihataye syad vihangeshwaro naha. So they all left. Narayana was reclining. See, Andal says, I think, I don't know, I told you this last time. Uranguvathu pol yoga seyyum perumal பார்க்கடலுள் பையத் துயின்றான், says Andal. பார்க்கடலுள் பையத் துயில்வது. See, how does Narayana sleep? Peacefully, blissfully. Is that important, sir? Yes. Anything in your life you have to enjoy. If you enjoy that, you will always like it. My grandfather used to serve the Imperial Bank of India at one point in time, which later became the State Bank of India. 39 years he served one firm. That itself is a big achievement today. So 39 years, one company he served. And he was married because he had a government job. Government job was one of the prerequisites to get married. So he got married. He served there for 39 years. And my grandmother, she told him one day, see, you are going to retire soon. From now onwards, you have to brew the coffee. And buying coffee powder itself was such a hobby. He would go, he will ensure you get the correct coffee seeds. You have to roast it in front of him, add the correct amount of chicory. And then 80, 20, 90, 10, 75, 25, that ratio, you'll get that smell of that coffee. For some of them, they'll get moksham thinking of that smell. If they can't smell coffee, that's all. They'll be cursing themselves. So he used to bring that coffee home. Morning 4 o'clock, he used to put that in that filter. Purvardham, Uttarardham. You keep 4-5 spoons of sugar. Piping hot water you have to put. That coffee decoction used to come. He used to put that again. It was called double decoction. You'll get thick decoction. And in Bangalore, we used to get a milk called Nandini. White water. So he will let that boil. And then he used to take that milk, some decoction, and used to put that in that tumbler. And then 5:45, the paper used to come, the Hindu used to come once upon a time when it was good. So he used to open that Hindu, and then he used to, roll that coffee tumbler and drink sip by sip. That is blissful drinking. Right? Sleeping. See, many of you working professionals may be taking early morning flights, 5 a.m. flights. For that, you have to keep an alarm at 2 a.m. For the 2 a.m. alarm, every half an hour you will wake up and check if the alarm is working. Then 1 o'clock you will wake up and you will wait for the alarm to work. So this is how it used to be. So sleeping is also a pleasure. It is a varam. It is a boon. When you sleep, you should sleep. Disturbed sleep. Some people will never get sleep. They'll be looking, eppadi thoongaran par. Namakku varave maatengirde. Sir, I've tried so many things, sir. I've listened to your lectures also, sir. Even then, I'm not getting. So, here, Narayana was reclining, absolutely motionless. That is when he heard, because that Adi Moolame, the second word was echoed. Moolame, 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 Moolame. Now the first word was heard. Adi, Adi, Adi. Then Shiva and Brahma retired. They said, no, it is Adi Moolam. So we'll go back. And they went home with their same tiffin box. See, on a very lighter vein, when I used to go to school, we used to take their food. For me, it was standard curd rice. So we used to take. And as children, probably I didn't realize the gravity. We used to wait. Some president or vice president, they should die. Then we'll get 1 day holiday. So then they will send us back home. And I will be under the assumption that I'll get good food. But my family people were very clear. Open that dabba and eat. So here, Narayana, who was reclining on Adishesha, the moment he heard Adi, the Shabdamadi, in a flash of a moment, he withdrew his legs, jumped from the serpent couch, ran towards Garuda, dragged him along to a certain distance, jumped on Garuda and said, go. Garuda said, drop point kidhar? Tell me where I have to go. And Vedanta Deshika says that he started pounding on Garuda's head, said, go. So Acharya state that I will never salute Narayana who protected Gajendra. I will salute that speed with which he went. Bhagavatas Tvarayai Namaha. He sat on Gajendra and said, Gajendra, go. Garuda and Garudas had to go. When Garuda was going, at one point in time, our Acharya state that he stood on Garuda. See, I am sure those of you who have travelled between Chennai and Bangalore will know there was a very age-old train called Brindavan Express. It will stop wherever there is a station, it will stop. And even wherever there is no station also, it will stop. 40, 50 stations, it will stop. So when we used to travel, and there were days when Bangalore was a very small city and Whitefield used to mark the outskirts of Bangalore. So we used to take the luggage and we used to go near the door. We believed that if we go and stand near the door, we will reach home early. So Narayana stood on Garuda, thinking that he will be able to protect. He turned right to check if the chakra was there. The chakra was missing. Ayyo, aadhe utut pudom bola irukku. By then, that chakra had done its job of cutting the crocodile. In Tamil we say, Yellu na ennai. Now, why is this mentioned? Now, again, at one point in time, we say the Gajendra is protected. On the other side, the crocodile was killed. Should the Lord do this? Vaishamyanair grhanyena sapekshatvat. See, if a mother has 2 kids, the second one has some problems. Maybe the child is diabetic at a very young age. The mother is aware of it. The doctor, the endocrinologist would have said, don't offer sweets to the child. The first child is also young, may not be that aware. So the mother will try telling the first child, don't give your brother sweets. First time she does samadana beda dandam. She does samam. Despite the mother warning the first son or the daughter, the child gives sweets to the brother. And as soon as the child takes sweets, the child has to suffer. Second time she will thrash that child. I don't know whether it's allowed here. I'm talking about Bharata Desham. She'll give one thrash. I told you not to give. I'm a third person. This is wrong. As a mother, you shouldn't be doing this. How so less merciful of you to not offer sweets to your own son? Is this what a mother does? As a third person, I become very judgmental in passing judgments like this, when I'm not aware that the child is diabetic. So the mother will say, don't pass such sweeping statements. You do not know what problem my child faces. You do not know how much advice I've given to my first child. Despite that, he is doing it. I, as a mother, I have to control and condemn this. Similarly, Bhagavan has done this srishti. He knows how to treat every person. We, as a small, tiny, primitive mortal with absolute less or no maturity, we will determine how Bhagavan should act. He should have done it like this. He should have consulted with us. We are one consulting firm. He should have consulted with us. This is where our Acharya state, even that crocodile received moksham. Just because the treatment was bad, it doesn't mean it is wrong. And now Gajendra was protected. Now the Gajendra had that lotus on its trunk. And by the time it was having this arduous fight with the crocodile, the elephant had that lotus, and the lotus petals had withered away. Now Bhagavan took that lotus, put it in his hand and said, to offer this to me, should you have to undergo so much pain? The elephant never had the thought of offering the lotus. In Ajamilopakhyanam, though he just called out his son's name, Narayana thought, you've called my name. Similarly, Narayana said, oh, the lotus, you wanted to offer it to me. In Narayaniyam, in Guruvayur, when Bhattadri was looking at Krishna with Shankha Chakra Gada Padmam, he asked Krishna, Krishna, I see one lotus in your hand. Is it the same lotus that you had accepted from Gajendra? In his yogic vision, the Lord nodded, yes, it seems. Yes, it is the same lotus from Gajendra. So Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam is an excellent example of bhakti even by animals. See, in Sanatana Dharma, gender, color, height, weight, nothing determines who will get moksha, because anybody can get moksha. And Gajendra Moksham is an excellent example. But I told you this is an important incident. I'll connect with Ramayanam. See, in Srimad Ramayanam, in Ayodhya Kandam, there is one place where Dasharatha dies. Rama has left to the forest. Dasharatha dies. After Dasharatha dies, that very night, Bharata, who's in Kekeya Desham, I told you about Ashwapati, Kekeya, Jalalabad, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Rajagriha, Sudhama. I told you all this, you remember? So, in Kekeya Desham, Bharata was living, and Bharata had a dream. In that dream, he sensed his own father Dasharatha in a tonsured state. Mundanam. See, in Sanatana Dharma, remember, for every child, the girl or the boy, we do Mundanam after the birth. After that, you should not keep doing Mundanam every now and then. It is wrong. I want to pass this exam, Mundanam. I want this health. No, that is not allowed. Not allowed. But you may say, oh, many people are doing. Let them do. See, I am telling you what is there in the book. So he saw his father in a Mundanam state, tonsured head, smeared in oil, and he was running southwards, pulled by a woman with, all this is there in Ramayanam, go check, with iron jewelry, red and black clothes. She was pulling, dragging Dasharatha, and Dasharatha went and fell into a huge pit of dung. This is there in Ramayanam. Bharata was shocked. He woke up. He said, something has happened to my father. I have never had a dream like this. He tells this to Shatrughna. And Shatrughna, who's close by, says, Bhaiya, fikar mat kijiye, kuch hum karenge. We'll find a solution for this. And Ramayanam says, immediately Shatrughna arranged for the narration of Bhagavat Charitram. That very night, Katha, Upanyasaka, Pravachanakarta like me came and said some story to get ward of those bad dreams or evil dreams. But there is no mention of what Katha was said. In Bhagavatam, when we read Gajendra Moksham, the Phalashruti says, Duswapnanasho idam. For getting rid of bad dreams, listen to Gajendra Moksham. So when it is said in Ramayanam, Shatrughna had arranged for a Prayaschitta Katha to ward off the evil dreams, it must have been this. How do we substantiate this? In Vishnu Sahasranamam, we have one nama, Duswapnanashanaha. For that, Parashara Bhatta says the answer is Gajendra Moksham. So if you face bad dreams, if you do not have good visions in front of your eyes, Shastram says listen to Gajendra Moksham. So there is a solution for everything. It's like an encyclopedia. For this, take this. But at the same time, Sanatana Dharma is never against medicine. See, recently I told in one of my lectures that Paramacharya in his life, Kanchi Paramacharya, I don't know, for the past 3 days he is coming continuously in my lecture. Kanchi Paramacharya, when he lived for such a long time, when he came to Chennai, one day he developed fever. And the Sishyas were very worried. They said, we'll call doctors because all doctors will be ready to serve him. That is when he said, no, I'll try a different method. Call 150 people, ask them to recite Vishnu Sahasranamam thrice. Because Charaka Samhita says, Sahasranamavan japtva jvaran sarvan vyapohati. If you listen to Sahasranamam, jvaran sarvan, all kinds of fevers will go away. He listened thrice and it is said that he came to normal temperature. I told this. Immediately in Tamil Nadu, we have one select people around Twitter. Correctly, they will say, Yanna solludu pari. This is now, that is when I don't know whether to pity at their poor, non-meritorious education, or it's a very sad state that certain people lack knowledge and wisdom and you can't do much about it. The answer is Sanatana Dharma is never against medicine. Then why will we have Ayurveda Shastra? We have believed in medicine, but we also believe that over and above the medicine, Bhagavan will help you. See, if you go to any doctor, no doctor will give it to you in black and white. I have given you medicine, tomorrow at 12 o'clock you'll be cured. They'll say, take this, let's see. This is how a doctor, if he or she doctor wants to be careful in their life, they'll say, let's see. I give it to you in writing. Then maybe the person is shifting his dispensary. Then only they'll give it to you in writing. When you go back, he won't be there. In Sanatana Dharma, we believe in science, we believe in maths, we believe in medicine, but over and above that, there is always Paramatma. So this Duswapna Nashanaha, when I say, do not think, okay, I keep getting bad dreams, so let me listen to Gajendra Moksham. Whatever therapy you're undergoing, whatever medicines you're taking, whatever methods you're following, do that. Alongside, have bhakti in Bhagavan, this will also help you. So Duswapna Nashanaha. This is Gajendra Moksham. I had also promised you at about 6:50 today that today I will be talking, if time permits, about a small bhagam called Tripura Samharam. Very important. It talks about the greatness of Shiva. See, in Sri Rudram we say, right, Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishweshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya. How does this Tripura feature here? There is a connection here, I will tell you. This Tripura Samharam also comes in Mahabharatam. That is even more interesting. Where does Tripura Samharam come, sir? What is this Tripura Samharam? Is it related to the Tripura of India? No, this Tripura has nothing, no relationship with that Tripura. Puram means place, city or fortress. Tripuram means three fortresses. So it is believed in our Puranas that there were three Asuras, Kamalaksha, Vidyunmali, Tarakaksha. They obtained boons in such a way that their fortresses could be strong, impregnable. And they were made of metals like gold, silver and ferrum, iron. And they obtained a boon, says Puranam, that they could be floating. And the cause of their death could be only when a single arrow strikes all three of them at one go. Then only they'll die. Till then they were tormenting people. They all went to Shiva, and Shiva and Narayana consulted, and Shiva said, I will vanquish the Tripura. That is when Puranam says that the earth became the chariot. The sun and the moon became the wheels. The four Vedas became the horses. Brahma became the charioteer. Meru Parvatam became the bow. Vasuki became the snake. Narayana became the arrow. Sudarshana became the tip. And he was able to vanquish. That is when Nayanmar says in Tamil, Pushyatandru Nahaitan. See, when Shiva was able to kill, he did not get angry. He gave a smile and he killed, it seems. Siritan. See, Puramerittavan Siritan on the day of Pushya Nakshatram. See, how many of you are Pushyas here? Any Pushya Nakshatram? Pusam? Ah, very good. See, I'll tell you the greatness of Pusam. Pushyam. In Ramayanam, all along you'll see Pushyam. Pushyam is very important in Ayurveda Shastram because it was believed traditionally that if you have to administer the Ayurvedic concoction medicine to your patient, do it on a Pushyam day. On a Pushya Nakshatra day, the efficacy of the medicine will be high. So that said, this Tripura was to be handled. And I told you, Brahma became the charioteer. How does this feature in Mahabharatam, sir? In Mahabharatam, the tale is very simple. Is it interesting? Yes. Okay. So, Kunti had a co-wife called Madri. See, Mahabharata, you have to be very careful with the characters. You have to follow me. this Pandu was cursed that he could never have children of his own. And Kunti's help was sought, where she invoked the mantra taught by Durvasa. Through Surya she got one son, through Vayu she got one son, through Indra she got one son. Now Madri felt very bad. She said, I don't know that mantra. So she asked for a recommendation through her husband. And then Kunti said, I will teach her the mantra, but she should tell it only once. Because if she tells it many times, her number of children will exceed hers, right? So she said, you should tell only once. But Madri was intelligent. She invoked the mantra once by thinking of Ashwini Devatas, who are 2 in number. So she got Nakula and Sahadeva as her children. So when Nakula and Sahadeva were born, a few years later, Madri died along with Pandu. So now all the 5 were under the guardianship of Kunti. Though Kunti treated them all equally, now these 2 boys always felt that somebody from their side, their mother's side, should be with them. And that is when the opportune time came of Mahabharata Yuddham, when alliances were being formed. So Madri's brother called Shalya, Nakula Sahadeva's maternal uncle, he said, I will come to your side and fight. But he had a huge army. So when he was coming, there was a Bhojana Alayam. There was a tent where food will be offered. So all these people were welcomed. Good platter was kept, thali was kept, all chunda, fafda, khandvi, thepla, everything was kept, undiyo, sabhita. So they all had, and finally came the finger bowl. And people who were serving them were all masked. So finally, Shalya wanted to know who is there in this tent who is being so hospitable. He asked, who are you? That man opened, it was Duryodhana. Duryodhana had planned that these people should fight from their side and not Pandava's side. How do you do that? When you serve somebody food, they cannot go against you. So Shakuni and Duryodhana had planned, and they somehow pulled Madri's brother Shalya into their camp. Shalya immediately messaged Nakula and Sahadeva, sorry, this was an opportunity for me to be by your side, but I have lost. Nakula Sahadeva, they said, they blocked him. Immediately they blocked. On the other hand, Krishna said, don't worry, always keep your mobile data on. Anytime I will send you message, act as per my message. So after Bhishma had gone into the bed of arrows, Bhishma Parva, Drona Parva, Karna Parva came. Karna became the commander-in-chief. Now Karna is a very jealous character in Mahabharata, very jealous. He is nowhere close to the way we see Karna. Ullathil nalla ullam urangad enbadu vallavan vahuttadada. இப்படிலாம் ஒண்ணுமே இல்ல மகாபாரதத்துல. He was a jealous, short-tempered, cunning person. दानवीर करण को हम क्या करेंगे? करण टॉक शो ही करेगा, इधर करण कुछ नहीं करने वाला है. So this Karn waste. He is like South Africa, he'll never win in finals. All places in Mahabharatam, Karna will come till the end, he will lose. His trade has gone to South Africa. They will never win. You see South Africa's history. So this Karna was like that. He was the one who gave the idea that Draupadi should be stripped. In Sabha Parva, it is this Ullattil Nalla Ullam, that Ullam only gave this. So don't have your Puranic knowledge from movies. That's a very wrong benchmark. If you know the Puranas through Upanyasams, it is okay. Then movies, you will know what to take and what not to take. If your exposure itself is through Ramanand Sagar and B.R. Chopra, then God protect you. So Karna, he was a very jealous person. He wanted everything what Arjuna had. The only one on the battlefield of Kurukshetra who had a charioteer much qualified, more handsome than the Rathi was Arjuna, because Krishna was the Sarathi. All media used to go only to him. Krishna, bataiye, enna talevare, neenga sollunga talevare. Now Karna wanted a great charioteer. He went and spoke to Duryodhana, and Duryodhana said, see, Duryodhana had to arrange, because you have to arrange resources, then only he will fight that Yuddham. That is when Duryodhana went and spoke to Shalya. He said, Shalya, Karna wants a very good charioteer, you are very well qualified, you go. But Shalya said, how can I become the charioteer to a charioteer's son? That was an ego problem there. That is when Duryodhana says, no, there were Tripuras earlier. That time when Shiva had to fight Tripuras, Brahma became the charioteer. Brahma, despite being the Karanam for Shiva, never took this as ego. He took it happily and went. Like how Brahma became the charioteer to Shiva, you should become the charioteer for Karna. This tale comes in Karna Parva of Mahabharata. Okay, now I am coming back to Bhagavatam. Now, in analytical geometry, you have x1, y1, x2, y2, two coordinates. You have to connect that with a line. Anywhere they are, you can connect. Even if it's a 4-quadrant graph, you can connect. But if it's a 3-coordinate, x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, then very rarely you will find one line connecting them all. So then in analytical geometry, there is a method called the line of best fit. So what we do is, we kind of arrive at an average and then draw a line. So when 3 puras are there, to shoot one arrow when all 3 are in the same line is tough. That is when Narayana calculated and said that this particular day, this particular tithi, this particular nakshatram, those 3 will come in the same line, hit. And Harapura Ploshakarana, Sudarshana at the tip of the arrow went and destroyed the puras. This is told. Now for us, it is very tough to fathom floating cities, gold, silver, how to understand. At one level, Purana will give the description the way we find it interesting. At another level, it will also be related to a geographical event, cosmic event. See, if you go to the Indonesian islands, it's an archipelago nation. You've got 17,000 islands there. Beginning from Java, because Java is mentioned in Ramayanam in Kishkindha Kandam, when Sugriva dispatches the monkeys, he says, monkeys go in the eastern direction, Yavadvipe, you will find one Yavadvipam, Ya, Ja, replaceable, Yamuna, Jamuna, Yasmai, Jasmai, Yava, Java. So you will go till Java, from there you will go to a place where Udayagiri, sun rises, which is Papua New Guinea, then only you have Fiji Islands, right? So that's where you find that position coming. So in the beginning of the westernmost part of the Indonesian archipelago nation, there is a lake called Toba. It's a large lake formed with volcanic eruption. And wherever volcanic eruptions happen, metals you don't have to mine, they will come to the surface. And one of the metals will be Au, aurum in a Mendeleev table, Ag is argentum, Fe, ferrum is iron. So even today you will find many mines there around that Toba island, that volcanic crater which has created that lake. If you have heard of Dal Lake in Srinagar, that is a volcanic lake. So in volcanic lake, the mineral content of the water will be high. So when Shiva destroyed this 3, it means that the Asuras were in complete control of those mines. Those places where the metals would be. They would not give access to the kings. They had uncontrolled access to this. That is when there has to be a patrolling done. That is why between this place called Toba in Indonesia till a place called Tiruvadigai in Tamil Nadu, it is a Padal Petrasthalam where Tripurantaka Shiva is found, there is only sea. So that is where this place must have been destroyed. So an incident in the Puranas will also be cosmic and relatable through geography. So in this, where does Narayana feature? Because that lake which was formed amidst these 3 puras had a nectar, says Bhagavatam, and that ambrosial liquid used to rejuvenate people, and that is how the 3 asuras used to get rejuvenated. That is when Narayana in the Saptama Skandam of Bhagavatam becomes a herd of cows and consumes all the waters, thereby making it dry, so that they don't get the ambrosial liquid to rejuvenate themselves, so that they can be killed by Shiva. So this is Tripura Samharam towards the end of Saptama Skandam in Bhagavatam. I have also narrated the Ashtama Skandam. So tomorrow we will be dealing with Matsyavataram, Kurmavataram, Vamana, which is Vamana Avataram, and then finally Krishna Jananam, which is a very, very beautiful moment. From, if we begin with Krishna Avataram tomorrow, then it will go on and on and on for 2.5 more days. It is only Krishna from then on. So it's a beautiful moment that we all have to cherish. As a speaker, though I've given like I don't know how many Bhagavatams, maybe 100, 150 Bhagavatams, 7 days each I would have given. But every time Krishna Avataram for me is like, a moment where I cherish. Every time. People keep wondering, sir, every time you give Krishna Avatar, aren't you bored? No. I keep waiting for that moment when I can see that little boy being born. So it's a very precious moment for me. I'm sure for you as well. So please, let's all meet at 6:30 tomorrow, the 4th day, the Madhyama Bhagam, exactly the middle day of our Sapthaham series. Thanks once again to the board, the committee members, Ganesh ji, all the members of the board, just not one person, all of them, all the volunteers, all the Astikas, Bhattacharya Swamis, and of course to my very dear Kandabiran Mama and his family. Hope to see you all soon tomorrow. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyirva Buddhyatmana Va Prakriti Swabhavat Karomi Ityat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Dhatre Karuna Sudhabdhe Kamvadi Divya Yudha Satkaraya Vatalaya Dhishana Mo Namaste Narayana 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 Anantaramakya Mahipranitam Stotram Pathetyastu Narastrikalam Vatalayetascha Kripaphalena Labheta Sarvani Cha Mangalani Narayana 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 Namaskaram. Thank you.
Thank you all. I also want to thank Tarun for the Mridangam. Don't forget to take the prasadam downstairs. One thing I got to tell you is, you see the auditorium is full and they have to do overspill in cafeteria and other places. So you realize the importance of building a new auditorium with enough people who can sit comfortably and parking. So whatever you want to donate, please do so. We all outside. And the GC Vedics is the national sponsor. And whatever. Yes.